Hey everyone, welcome back to KC3D Sparks. Today we're going to be going over how to make two different types of barricades. The first one is going to have some metal accents and some spikes. And the second one is going to be some carved logs that form spikes as well. So let's dive right in. Of course, don't forget to set up your scene. I already went in to my scene tab, changed my unit to inches, work with whatever unit you're comfortable with. And then I changed the scale of my grid to 0.25 or 1/4 of an inch. So first thing we're going to do is start with our cube. I already changed the dimensions to an inch as well. I'm going to tab into edit mode here and let's see. So the first thing we want to do is also get the sizing a little bit better. So I'm going to size it by the y-axis a lot to be, I don't know, about there. I'm not making anything very precise at the moment. I'm just going to make it look how I want it to. And then at the end, I will just resize it for the proper printing size that I want to do. So I also want it to be a little bit more rectangular. So I'm going to size it up along the x-axis. So about there, looks good. I'm going to go into my front view and we're going to start mapping out the topology. So basically, I'm just going to set up my lines so that way I can extrude and use the poke tool without having to do anything too crazy. So even though this one might look a little bit more detailed and heavy duty, it's still actually really easy to model. So let's go ahead and add in, let's just start with these two lines, hit escape so they stay where they are, and then size it along the x-axis. So we can get the metal framing set. I think I want them to be about that big, looks good. And then we're going to do the same thing except size it in to be about the same size as the ones on the edges. So we have 3 metal bars holding our wooden paneling for the barricade together. Okay, and then I want to set up the spikes. So I want to have 4 on each panel. So what we'll do is add in, let's see, that actually looks perfect. And then I want to do, it'll be too skinny if I add in a lot of loops there. So what I'll have to do is add in 2, pull that over about there, add in 2 here, and I'll have to size that up to make it match. All right, we'll do the same thing over here. I know it just looks like a lot of loops at the moment, but I promise it'll make sense in a second once I start adding the details in. Okay, so first I'll go ahead and add in the metal framing. So let's deselect everything by hitting A. And we're going to go ahead and grab the sections that we want to extrude. So I'll just go into front view again, and Z to go into wireframe, and we're going to border select what we need. And we're going to deselect the bottom ones because we want the bottom to remain flat. All right, we're going to hit E to extrude, and then we will also want to go down here to the pivot point and do individual origins, and we're just going to size it up a little bit, and then we'll have to fix it as well. As you can see, it's still not quite right for the way it's sizing, so we'll go ahead and fix that manually real quick. So we'll just bring that up to make sure it stays flush with the bottom, and now it's definitely way too tall and too skinny. So real quick, we'll do the y-axis. Perfect. And we'll just grab these 3 faces, go into front view, and bring that way down. Awesome. So it's just big enough that when we go in and paint it later, we can paint these silver or gray or like a gunmetal or whatever kind of metal you want it to look like. Now for the spikes, it's really easy as well. We're going to grab these 8 faces, and all we have to do is hit Alt-P, and that will make it pointed. Now, of course, once you do it, it's just going to triangulate it. It doesn't actually pull the points out. You have to hit F6 on your keyboard, and it brings up this little menu. So I think I want mine to be 0.25 inches. I want them to be a little bit more dramatic than that. So of course, you have to play with it a little bit, see how big you want them to be. Oh, I like 1/2 inch out, looks good. And I want it to be a little bit dramatic. Since I am printing it, it's not going to be as pointy, or at least if it is, I hope it is, but I can't expect it to be perfect. So I think that looks pretty good for what I want it to be at the moment. Awesome. So now the last detail I want to add is something to prop the barricade up. So we're going to add 2 beams that'll come out the back to hold it up. So grab these 2 faces here. We're just going to hit E to extrude and go into side view and pull that out. I'm not going to bring it down or anything yet because I do want it to lean. So I will go ahead, select everything, rotate it. I think it'll probably lean about that far on the table. It'll be a little bit nice like that. And then what I'll do is grab these 2 again. Whoops, go back into side view, pull it down, and we're going to rotate that so it's flat and it matches up with the bottom. Probably bring that in a little bit. Make sure it looks like it's straight, and I think that will be good. So there is our first simple barricade. I'm just going to drag that over, and we're going to go ahead and start our next one with a cube as well. I'm going to go ahead, bring this down to 1 inch. And we'll probably still make that smaller in edit mode as well, because this is the one that I want to make a set of 4 logs that have been carved into square spikes. So go back into vertex mode, just because I don't know, I like that way, that looks better. And size that for every direction except for the Z axis, like that. Looks good. Okay. And then we will go ahead and grab the top face and do the same thing. So Alt P. And I think I want this point to be a little bit more dramatic. So we'll do 3/4 of an inch. Then we'll go over here to our modifiers tab and add in an array modifier. So we want to do 4 of these. And then I also want to do this because I want them to be connected but not connected like this. So we'll add a beam to make it look like that's going through. So let's size that. Whoops. First, we have to make sure we change our pivot point back to median point. I think the beam could be about there. Looks good. Grab this face, E to extrude, and pull that out. Okay, I think I like that, maybe a little smaller. And on the other side, after we apply the array modifier, we'll pull this out to match this so it looks like it goes all the way through. So we're just going to go in out of edit mode, hit apply, and then go back into edit mode. Grab this face, E to extrude, and pull that out. Perfect. So there's the main part of our barricade. So the other thing we want to do, kind of like what we did with this one, is do the supports, but we're also going to do a beam like we did for this one as well. So we'll go ahead and grab these 2. We're going to hit E to extrude. Pull this out. I'm going to go ahead and hide the other one so it doesn't get confusing to look at. I'm just going to pull that out a little more. And we're going to grab everything and rotate it. And this one's going to be a lot more dramatic, since this is one of the types that, you know, you would envision an RB kind of like running into or something like that. I like that. That looks good. So the way I want the beam is, first off, let's bring these back up a little bit. maybe there. We'll hit E to extrude, grab that, and we're going to rotate it to be flat. Fix that up, make it look consistent, then we'll extrude it again and bring them down. All right, now we just bring that back up. So we're gonna grab all of these. Whoops, no we're not. Make that about there. Now what we can do is grab these two faces, hit space, go to bridge, add to loops, and then grab these two again. E to extrude and size along the x-axis. So that way it has a board that it looks like it's being supported by, and it won't sink into the ground as easily. All right, so that is how we have our two barricades set up. So of course you could go in and add a lot more detail to this if you wanted. Let's look at them together, you can mix them up. Let's go into top view real quick. So of course, build it appropriate to what you're fighting against. But if you guys have any questions, comments, or you just want to give me any feedback, I would really appreciate it. But thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next week.